My name is Kaylee, and in this video I'll be showing you some never before seen pictures of the current excavations at Sefer Tepe in Turkiye. And of course, I'll be sharing some information about the site as well. So as most of you watching me for a while will know, I recently did a 2-week-long tour in Turkiye, where we visited some of the most amazing ancient sites the country has to offer. So one day, as we visited Haran and the Bazda Caves and Shuaib ancient city, we drove back to Şanlıurfa. As we were driving, we passed the location of Sefer Tepe. Tourists are usually not allowed to visit this site because of the ongoing excavations. You know, you don't want tourists to tamper with anything. But our driver thought, what the hell? He stopped by the house of the landowners and asked them about the possibility of, us taking a little peek at the current excavations. And to everyone's surprise, an archaeologist working at the site opened up the gate and showed us around. So what do we know about Sefer Tepe, and why is this site so incredibly important? So what do we know about Sefer Tepe, and why is this site so incredibly important? Sefer Tepe is located in the Viranşehir district of the Şanlıurfa province in Turkey, and it is one of the 12 Taştepeler sites. You've heard me mention the Taştepeler sites more than once, so yeah, those are the 12 pre-pottery Neolithic sites of Turkey, the most important ones. So Sefer Tepe is located some 70 kilometers east of the city of Şanlıurfa, some 50 kilometers east of Göbekli Tepe, and about 18 kilometers east of Karahan Tepe. In fact, it's located the furthest east of all the Taştepeler sites. Sefer Tepe might not be as well known as Göbekli Tepe or Karahan Tepe, but it's still very much an important part of the story of the Taştepeler sites. The discovery of Sefer Tepe is actually quite a unique story. So I'm going to tell you. It all started with a student named Sefer who attended a lecture at the Haran University on Neolithic societies and Göbekli Tepe. He mentioned during the lecture that there were pillars in his village that were similar to those found at Göbekli Tepe. So as you can imagine, after hearing all this, his professor accompanied him to his village to look at the pillars. And sure enough, they were similar to those found at Göbekli Tepe, and surface surveys were consequently conducted, leading to Sefer Tepe being registered as a second-degree archaeological site. The site was then given the same name as the student because, without the student, the site may have never been found. 3 archaeologists conducted the surface survey. Their last names were Kurkçoklu, Çelik, and Oral. Before excavations even started, one of the archaeologists, Bahattin Çelik, believed that it was a previously unknown pre-pottery Neolithic settlement. During the surface survey, the archaeologists discovered that the settlement extends over an area of approximately 1,000 square meters at an altitude of 700 meters. The settlement itself rises approximately 6 meters directly on the bedrock, just like the other pre-pottery Neolithic settlements in the region, like, for instance, Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. So in the southeast corner of the land of the settlement is a house that is still occupied by villagers, the current landowners, who are cultivating cotton on the fields south of the mound. These are the same people that we asked if we could take a peek, and then they brought us in contact with the archaeologists, and then the archaeologists came and just opened up the gate and we were able to walk around, and it was absolutely incredible. At least 10 T-shaped pillars were found in situ. These pillars are made from limestone and stand either side by side or opposite from each other. When the site was first discovered, the pillars were rising between 30 and 40 centimeters above the ground and were placed between 1.5 and 2 meters apart. As excavations began and the surface rubble was removed, the archaeologists were able to trace the ancient walls quite easily, as they were well preserved under the enormous mound. Some of the structures are shaped in an oval form, while other structures of the settlement are rectangular in shape. So here at Sefer Tepe there are different types of pillars. The T-shaped pillars that we know from Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe have been found here, but archaeologists also uncovered rectangular pillars, single-sided T-shaped pillars, and stacked pillars as well. On the top of at least one of the stacked pillars was a limestone block, which was placed horizontally and was, the finishing touch to finish the T-shape of the pillar, if you will. This is particularly intriguing because similar stone blocks have been found at other Neolithic sites in the Tigris Basin, sites like, for instance, Boncuklu Tarla. So there seem to be two separate but quite similar building styles on the Anatolian plateau where the Tostopeller sites are located. You have the Tigris Basin building style and the Euphrates building style. Euphrates being in the west and the Tigris being in the east. So Sefer Tepe seems to be a melting pot of Tigris Basin cultural building techniques as well as Euphrates Basin cultural building techniques, as the decorated T-shaped pillars show many similarities with those found at Karahan Tepe and Göbekli Tepe, which are Euphrates building techniques. Sefer Tepe is unique in that it shows very clearly the relationships that the East and the West had during the time that it was built, as it clearly shows the two different types of building techniques in one settlement. These building techniques can also be seen as cultural, so you've got the Tigris Basin culture and the Euphrates culture, and Sefer Tepe seems to be a melting pot of those two. This actually makes Sefer Tepe one of the more important sites when it comes to understanding the people who were living in this region in ancient times. In the middle of the currently excavated area, there is a square made of stone, and inside this square, archaeologists have discovered 21 human skulls. Yeah, you heard that right, 21 human skulls. And another square made from stone at the edge of the currently excavated area, which you can see here on this picture on screen, archaeologists found another human skull with its head facing south. Of course, you can't see the skull in the picture, as the archaeologists have removed it from the site for further investigation, but this is quite a notable find. This is also the very first time that complete human heads were discovered in the area. Archaeologists in the past have found some skull fragments at, for instance, Karahan Tepe, but never fully intact skulls, and to find 22 of them in one settlement, that really is quite extraordinary. The skull that was placed facing south may have been placed there for ritualistic purposes. The archaeologists currently excavating at Sefer Tepe believe that the layers they've excavated so far date back to approximately 6,500 years ago, but they also believe that they've only excavated the top layers of the settlement itself. It is thought that the underlying layers at Sefer Tepe date back to possibly as early as 10,000 years ago. So the pillars that they've discovered at Sefer Tepe were not cut from nearby hilly regions or cliffs, but rather they were cut directly from the bedrock below Sefer Tepe, as there is clear evidence of cut marks in the bedrock. Many pieces of flint and some pieces of obsidian were found at Sefer Tepe. The finds include things like flakes, blades, cores, end scrapers, side scrapers, and points. Among the smaller finds, with some symbolic characteristics, there are beads, ring-shaped pieces, and smaller worked stone objects. The main raw materials for these smaller finds were jade, serpentine, limestone, igneous labradorite, and bone. And these smaller finds also come in many different shapes. Some are disc or round-shaped, some are quadrilateral, some are drop-shaped, and some are shaped into the head of a snake. I honestly feel extremely fortunate that the group and I were granted access to Sefer Tepe while we were touring Turkiye, as this really doesn't happen usually. Tourists are not really allowed here due to the ongoing excavations and investigations. Recently, there was the World Neolithic Forum, which took a lot of people to Sefer Tepe, and these people have seen it as well. So I'm not the only one, thankfully, but of course I had to share all of this with you because this truly was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. As in a few years, the site will look completely different as more areas will become excavated. And as time goes on, more information from this enigmatic site will come to light. And I will be sure to share all of that upcoming information with you because I will be keeping a close eye on news coming from Turkiye. I might actually do another tour in Turkiye in like a year or two. And of course, you can join me on this adventure. And once I got dates, I will be sure to let you know. And, you know, maybe I can set up like an email list or something. We'll figure that out along the way. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed watching these never-before-seen pictures from Sefer Tepe. And if you enjoyed watching, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, and click that bell icon if you want to be notified whenever I upload. If you haven't seen my previous videos yet, then click the card in the upper right corner, or click one of the links in the description down below, or click a video in the end card. I would also like to say a massive thank you to all my patrons and my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting me. It truly means the world to me. I'm glad to be back. And yeah, more videos coming soon. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!